This is the end. The death, so to speak, of me orienting. The liberation of the need to orient in any particular way. Not the destruction of disorientation, but the total freedom that even this can appear to happen. And it's okay. This is a total free falling into nothingness. Falling nowhere in particular is a complete immersion with whatever is happening. It's not a falling into something. It is not one thing falling into another thing. It's not at all controllable. There's no making yourself fall into what is happening, but neither is there a clumsy stumbling about in a need to seek for the illusion of sure footing, which is used by the orienting me as if it were a security blanket, one made of immaterial concepts. Concepts seem to only keep the idea of me safe and sound, but the me cannot offer any real safety to itself, and thus the separate individual is doomed to always overlook the most wonderful, unimaginable vulnerability. Safety from what is happening is the idea that protects the illusion of there being a distance between me and what is apparently happening. There is no distance for a me to fall into something. There is just what is happening, and it's already free fall into everything and free flowing of the direct intimacy of what is. Nowhere to land, nothing to hold on to, no more resistance to hopelessness. The self is a defense mechanism where the belief in separation hides wholeness from itself, where wholeness pretends to be separate and hiding from itself. But it is neither an it or a self. So what better place to hide but in the safety net of immaterial ideas? What better place for wholeness to hide in stories of separation? What better place to hide nowhere but in the location of everywhere? What better way to hide nothing but to hide it in absolutely everything? Especially in those things you never ever want to look at again. How incredibly genius. There is nowhere else for anything to hide. There is nowhere for anything to be hidden. Whatever is apparently happening is everything. It's everything that everything could ever possibly want. Everything longing for everything, apparently happening exactly as it is. This is the collapse into total vulnerability. There is no past or passing moment. Memories are mental impressions, images appearing now, this moment, as it appears, is incomparable. There has never been another moment. This timeless appearance isn't ever a moment in time. There is never an experience of what has happened. Just what is happening is all there ever is. And it's not a past that is happening. Just this direct intimacy of what is. There is just what is innocently happening. And it's not happening to anything believed to be a separate thing. There is only everything that is not a thing happening. Nothing more. Nothing less than the direct intimacy that is what is. There is just simply what is happening. But what is happening is never happening to a somebody or a something. There are no things, separate subjects and separate objects, such as real separate bodies doing their own activities and having their own experiences. There is only what seems to be happening, which is nothing, appearing as everything, happening. But it has nothing to do with the body, or some belief that there is something inside the body, or inside any so-called things, and controlling them. What is inside of a wave controlling it? Silly notion, isn't it? There is no real separation for there to be independent objects and subjects. There is simply what is, this. And this can appear as absolutely everything happening, no matter what it appears to be. No matter what stories are told about what appears to be happening. It's not really even becoming that, but is always this, already. Okay, so being a seeker, longing for wholeness, is like being a fish in search of the ocean. When the labels are taken for exactly as they appear, just thoughts, then the labels are seen for the transparent thoughts they seem to be. Then there is no fishy seeker, just the ocean, appearing as everything that is happening as the ocean. This alive, direct immediacy is, even when labels are not. What is remains unchangingly what is, no matter what the labels seem to suggest. There isn't really any labels, just this appearing as thoughts about something called things. So there already isn't really any things or labels to label them. It's all timelessly and unchangingly this. The illusion is that there is a separate you who can find lines, and yet trying to find the curve can seem to happen. But there is just no you, me, I, in any of it that is doing the searching. What a beauty. There's just what seems to be happening, and not even really that. What a wonder. What a miracle. How does what isn't a happening seem to be happening? What is already is what is. Knowing need not ever happen, and yet what is seems to happen anyway, with or without the story of knowing. And no matter what the story is, this doesn't mind all the stories, as it is already completely storyless. What a wordless, unknown beauty. Everything that is apparently happening is an expression of life itself. No matter what seems to happen, it is already this wholeness, appearing as everything. Practicing is no different from not practicing. Seeking is no different than not seeking. There is nothing wrong with seeking, although there is nowhere to go and nothing to find. There is nothing wrong with practicing or not practicing, although there is nobody to gain anything, and so there is nothing to gain if practicing or not practicing seems to be happening. It's all playfully innocent, without a player to play. And yet what is, is. This is it. All of it. This is completely what is. Spiritual seeking is not better than watching TV. It just seems to be what is happening. And there is nothing that can be done about what is, as it already is what is. Whatever seems to be happening, seeking or not seeking, practicing or believing practice won't get you anywhere, because there is already no separate you. And all that, whatever seems to be happening, is all beautiful. One event apparently happening is not worse than another event, as it is all an expression of this. There are no events that are not fully this, appearing as all what is apparently happening, all of it. That includes liking this post or not liking this post, includes the liking or not liking the thoughts that might imagine horrible scenarios as something that happens but should never happen. It includes pointing out events that are believed to be absolutely terrible and unnecessary, as that too is a beautiful expression of this. And thought is clearly not separate from what it seems to be judging. They arise as what is, and what is always this, no matter how it appears. Either way, it is all beautiful, no matter what thoughts seem to suggest. As even those thoughts that this isn't it, and this is just too evil to permit, are all beautiful expressions of this. What thoughts suggest is a story about what is happening. But what is happening is apparently a story, And that story is not really what it seems, as something separate, as even that so-called separation is fully this too. There is just no way out of this. Nothing can make love be any less or any more than what it already fully is. Love, unconditional. It seems that even the conditions that appear to be a limitation placed upon our love, the seeking, giving, receiving, rejecting, resisting our love, this showering or withholding our love, are indeed permissible. Permissible, that is, in the sense that with this outward appearance of our love, the existing expression of love being conditional, that seems so real, can come and know unconditional love as a matter of fact. These expressions of love is love's own demonstration that there is no real limitations except for appearance's sake, as even the limits of love are clearly already embraced and thus accepted unconditionally. It is even permitted that we treat love as if love is an object to be distinctly known, sought after, attained, given, or taken away, despite that we are clearly love itself. And thus love is inseparably everything and nothing. Love doesn't need your acceptance. Love doesn't care about your rejections or limits we place upon love, as love already is what is and isn't. And paradoxically, the mental images you take to be yourself is also obviously embraced and accepted unconditionally, as everything is. Even the abstract notion of there being a separation, although there is no separation of anything whatsoever that you can distinctly point out with an absolute certainty. But even this is embraced and accepted. It is loved as love itself. Love's expression as life as you know it, both equally, subjectively and objectively. Conditional love is a concrete reflection of unconditional love that only seems abstract when love in its wholeness remains unrealized. Whether love seems to be realized or unrealized, even this is embraced unconditionally, obviously. What is being called a body doesn't appear or disappear, but the thought of there being a body sure seems to come and go. What is, however, isn't even coming or going. The only problem the body ever has is the belief it's yours. Life has no problems other than belief in the thought that there is an I that isn't what it is. A thought There is just what is, and it's not a separate anything whatsoever. Everything is no thing already. The illusion seems to give itself many names, and yet the illusion is that there is something to be named in the first place. The pointing finger cannot point at itself, but it already doesn't need to do that, as the pointing is the finger already. When the thought, "I am running," isn't apparently happening, what thought describes as running still happens without any need of the thought. Nobody is doing the running. Running just appears to be what is happening. Seeking can seem to arise from extreme suffering over problems that don't really exist. The problem is there isn't one, and there isn't someone separate to have a problem with suffering. Impossible to resolve what isn't really happening. How many steps are needed to get away from what is, when every single step is what is already? A distant sound is no different than a sound that seems to happen closer or further away. It is heard all right here all the same, exactly as it is, as simply what is. Silence says it all. Every expression is empty of separation and is already fully this. What is never late, even when this is appearing as being really late. What is always right on time, being exactly what it appears to be, simply late. And the appearance of being late is also already this, and not late. Late appears to be happening. Being full of love has nothing to do with an anybody or anything. Everything, exactly as it is already unconditional love. Conditions not excluded. Not liking the world the way it appears to be, without exclusion to your story about what is, and the longing for the world to change into something it isn't already is what is. And what is always inescapably this. You are everything that appears now. Is there anything that is not this appearance? There is nothing else to be other. No thing is personal or impersonal. Labeling this me or not me means nothing, as even the labeling is everything. Wanting nothing is still wanting something. You cannot want your own absence, as you don't have a presence to begin with. All that is present is the absence of separation already. What appears seems to rise up like a bubble and pops. Where did the bubble go? What bubble? There is only the absence of the bubble. When beliefs collapse, all that is left is all there ever is. The peace that surpasses all understanding. And nothing at all needs to happen. But anything at all can appear to freely happen. I am is a thought. And likewise, there is no I, me, self, is also a thought. Neither has to do with a separate subject. They are just empty thoughts, not your thoughts, as the idea of my thoughts is already a thought. What is looking at this is everything looking. But there has never been any sight of you in the picture whatsoever. You are not free. There is only freedom, but know you to have it, or know it. You don't get to choose your beliefs. The believing does all the choosing. It's just what is innocently happening. In liberation, nothing is absent. Now all you tried to escape and not feel is felt full on with no escape. All that is absent is the separate you, and that is already what is. There is no getting rid of what seems like it is, but isn't. Nor is there getting rid of what always already is. No moment ever started, nor did it ever finish. Just the complete immediacy of what is happening, always, with no beginning and no end, and not even. You can't imagine what this would be like without a mind. Yet that is already what is. There are just thoughts about something called a mind, or I, and the belief in it makes it seem real.